Hello YouTube, how you guys doing today? Thanks for stopping by, being a passenger on the P Reacts Daily Train. I appreciate everybody that's been coming by and helping out with the channel. Please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out, especially since I'm a newer channel. Also, it helps with the algorithm. Don't forget, this is not a substitute for the original content, so go over to the original artist, watch it on their channel, give them a like, show them some love. Also, we don't redistribute any of the content, so we're following all the copyright rules. My name is P, and we'll get started on this video as soon as we see our disclaimer. Alrighty, in today's video, we're going to continue on with some of our space videos. And this one is how the universe is way bigger than you think. So let's check this out and see how big is the universe, or what do you think? I'm sure it's going to be way bigger than what you actually believe. You know, you're looking up and you're seeing it and you're like thinking that it's so big, but then it's going to blow your mind or something. But let's check this out and see what this is, and let's make sure we got this on some resolution.
We're on this planet somewhere, and everything that you've ever known is located right here. But just how small exactly is Earth when compared to the scale of the entire universe? Let's start by zooming out to where we can see our nearest cosmic neighbor, the Moon. You may think that the Moon is very close to Earth since it dominates our night skies, but in reality the Moon isn't this close to our planet, it's actually about this far away. 384,400 kilometers away from you right now on average. You could fit 30 entire Earths in between this distance, and if you somehow were able to drive a car at a constant 100 kilometers per hour speed, it would take you about 160 days to drive the entire distance.
Man, that is crazy. I mean, you look outside, you see the moon right there, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, it's right there, you know, it feels like you might even be able to touch it or something, but then in reality, it's like so far away, it takes 160 days.
It would take you about
160 days just to get there if you're driving the speed, like highway speeds in the car. I mean, you might be able to make it in 150 days if you're going like 70, but but that's just funny. So crazy. Yeah, so I mean that gives you an example of how far, you know what I mean? Because it looks like it's right there, but it's like way farther. So I could just imagine what the universe is going to be like.
60 days to drive the entire distance. Despite this incredible distance, however, 12 humans have actually set foot here, representing the furthest away that any individual human has ever been away from the Earth, and one of humanity's greatest achievements. This is what the Earth would look like from there if you were standing there with them, and if you wanted to communicate with somebody back at home, it would take a message about 2.5 seconds to travel between you and them, since that's how fast the speed of light can travel at. This is a photo that was taken on Mars, and that tiny dot that you see there is Earth as seen from the Martian surface. On average, Mars is an incredible 225 million kilometers away from Earth, but that distance can be as high as 401 million kilometers. That means that whenever humanity finally gets around to landing a human on the planet, that person will be 986 times further away from Earth than the astronauts who landed on the Moon were. In addition, the time delay for sending a message from Mars back to Earth isn't just 2.5 seconds, it's actually more like 20 minutes each direction.
So yeah, so that's interesting to know. Let's figure this out. 986 times 160. Holy crap. So if you was to drive your car from the Earth to Mars going 62 miles an hour, like they said in the previous to the moon, it would take you 157,760 days to get there. Now divide that by 365. That would take, holy crap, that's 432 years and like 3 months. Dang, just to drive there. That is insanely crazy. 432 years to drive there? Damn, that's nuts.
which would render instant communication in the event of an emergency impossible. When we zoom out even further away, we can find the Voyager 1 space probe, which is the furthest away man-made object from Earth. It is currently located 138 AUs from the Earth, AU meaning astronomical unit, which is the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which means that Voyager 1 is 138 times further away from us than the Sun is.
Wow.
At some point on its long voyage, Voyager 1 turned its camera around and took this photograph. It may not look like much at first, but in my opinion this is the greatest single photograph ever taken in all of human history. This tiny, pale blue dot is Earth, and I don't think that anybody has ever said something as amazing about this as Carl Sagan when he said, "If you look at it, you see a dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever lived out their lives. The aggregate of all our joys and sufferings, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and every forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and every peasant, every young couple in love, every hopeful child, every mother and every father, every inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam."
Yeah, so that's interesting. I really would wish that everybody on the planet would see this video. That would be excellent, because then it really puts you into perspective to different things and it makes you realize how small you really are in the universe and how insignificant you are. Because people, humans actually, think that they're the center of the universe. They're more important than anything. It's all about them. It's all about this. And really, it's totally the opposite. The universe don't give one crap about us, or the planet don't even care about us. So just like these people are always talking about, save the earth, plastic, and save the environment. The earth is going to redo itself. It's going to shake us off, just like George Carlin said on one of his comedy skits. It's going to shake us off like a bad case of fleas one day. We're only here temporarily, so the earth ain't worried about us and what we're doing to it and all that. When it gets bad enough, it's just going to eliminate us, is what's going to happen. So, yeah. I mean, and it's just crazy. But yeah, let's get back to it.
Voyager 1 is currently traveling at 17 kilometers every single second, but even at that speed, it won't break out of the reach of our solar system for another 30,000 years.
Wow.
Once we go beyond the solar system, we arrive in our interstellar neighborhood. Here we shift to the light year unit of measurement, which is the distance that light travels in a full Earth year, or about 9.461 trillion kilometers. The star Proxima Centauri here is the closest other star to us other than our sun, but it's still 4.24 light years away from us.
So we're still in our universe, our area, but we're out of our solar system. So our solar system is where our 9 planets, or whatever they're considering nowadays, are at. That is our solar system, because that's where our planet's circular motion is. So, man, 4.24 light years just to get, to the next, solar system. So there's, more than one solar system just in our galaxy, or our universe, our galaxy, I guess you call it.
Put that into perspective, if it was heading in the right direction, it would still take Voyager 1 over 70,000 years to reach it. In other words, if you drove your car at 100 kilometers an hour like in our previous example to the moon, it would take over 6 times longer than the entire age of the universe is just to finally get there, and it wouldn't even exist still when you arrived.
Yeah, so imagine that. And we're still in our solar system. No, we're out of our solar system, but we're in our galaxy. And to go to the next solar system, it's like how many billions of years to drive there. Man, imagine how far that is.
When we zoom out even further, we can see the entire Milky Way galaxy, inside of which Earth is located right here. This yellow dot is the furthest extent of humanity's radio broadcasts throughout history, which means that any possible aliens who live outside of this range are totally unaware of humanity's presence.
So this is the Milky Way galaxy. This is where we all live and all of our planets and what we see in the sky and all that kind of stuff. And just that little tiny yellow dot is our solar system of our 9 planets. And look how big our galaxy is. Man. And what he was saying, if there is aliens, they probably don't even know we exist because we can only radio broadcast in that yellow dot spot. So any radio signals we send out are not even going to the rest of the Milky Way galaxy. It's just in that little speck. That's as far as we can reach. So imagine if somebody else was up at the top in that part of the galaxy. We could have another planet just like Earth and we'd never know it because it would take too long to get there. It'd take too long for them to get to us, and so on. And they can't communicate because it's just way too far away. That's why I said before, it's like you'd have to be totally crazy to think that there's no other aliens. And I mean aliens like us, that can think and do things like humans can. I mean, they may not look like us, but there's got to be. Because look, this is just our Milky Way galaxy, and this is just one galaxy. And look how big it is. And look all the planets that are in it.
It's complete silence outside of this yellow dot as far as we are currently aware, but the entire galaxy spans over 100,000 light years from end to end. There are over 100 billion stars and over 100 billion planets inside of our galaxy. But
yeah, that's just inside of our galaxy. The one galaxy that we're talking about. 100 billion planets and 100 billion stars. So you're talking 200 billion places that there could be life. But we're the only planet that has life, intelligent life? That don't even make sense. The law of average tells you that that's incorrect. Because the average would mean that, well, there's probably dozens of planets with life just in our galaxy.
You have never seen the full glory of the galaxy at night because 99% of the stars that you can see with the naked eye are limited to this small, tiny region right here.
Exactly.
But even this massive galaxy is nothing compared to the rest of what's out there. Zooming out even further and we arrive at the local group of galaxies, a collection of 54 different galaxies that is about 10 million light years across. But zooming
10 million light years across just in our stellar region. And that's traveling at the speed of light. It would take you 10 million years to go from side to side. And we're like in the center. So you're talking 5 million years just to get to the edge of this.
Out even further and we can see the Virgo supercluster, of which the local group here is just a tiny segment of.
So yeah, that big thing, our galaxy, then it was way bigger. And that's just a dot now into this, the Virgo supercluster, which is basically another like region of space, basically.
There are at least 100 other groups of galaxies just like our own local group inside of here, and the distance from one side to the other is a mind-numbing 110 million light years.
Yeah, so now we're expanding out again. So he said there's, what was it, 100 million 100 million other groups of galaxies. So our galaxy is in the Virgo supercluster, so that's a group of galaxies. And then there's like 100 million or whatever other groups. So imagine that's billions of galaxies that have billion planets per galaxy or whatever. So a billion times a billion already. It's like, man, that's nuts.
But even the massive Virgo supercluster is nothing but a quiet and tiny lobe of the great Laniakea supercluster, an enormous structure that is home to our galaxy as well as 100,000 other galaxies. The distance from one side to the other is 520 million light years.
100,000 galaxies in here. 520 million light years across. I mean, even if we had a spaceship that could go nonstop and the fuel was off of the light from the stars, and we could just keep going and keep going, it would take, man, probably 1 million generations of people just to get across to get to the edge. That is insane.
But from even there, we can zoom out all the way to the entire observable universe and see that even the titanic Laniakea supercluster is just a tiny and insignificant part of everything. This is the observable universe, and it contains everything that we know of. It is home to at least 2 trillion different and individual galaxies, which together contain more stars than there are grains of sand on the entire Earth. The distance from Earth to any side of the observable universe is 46.5 billion light years, which means that the entire width is 93 billion light years across. What's perhaps even more interesting, however, is what actually lies beyond the observable universe. Keep in mind that the observable universe is all that we can currently see, and it's entirely possible that the rest of the universe outside of it is vastly larger and more fantastic than we can possibly ever imagine. We simply don't know what else is out there because the light from these incredibly distant places has not yet had enough time in the universe's history to reach us yet back on Earth. And the light from some places may never reach us at all. Because some parts of space very far away from Earth are expanding away from us faster than the speed of light, that means that the light from these places will never, in an infinite amount of time, reach Earth. Meaning that even if humanity is eternal and exists forever, there will still be an unknown number of places in the universe that we will never know about or ever see. So, it is very likely that as unbelievably enormous as it seems, the observable universe is just a tiny slice of what we can currently see of the entire universe. According to the theory of cosmic inflation that was proposed by Dr. Alan Guth, if it is assumed that cosmic inflation began at 10 to the negative 37th of a second after the Big Bang, and with the assumption that the size of the universe before inflation began was equal to its age times the speed of light, then this would seem to suggest that at the present day, the entire universe is 150 sextillion times larger than the observable universe. That number for reference looks like this, with this many zeros. Let this number sink in for just a moment. This would be similar to you thinking that the entire observable universe, everything that you could see, was the size of a light bulb, but then realizing that in reality the entire universe is larger than the former planet of Pluto. Imagine a light bulb in the center of Pluto, but we inside the light bulb were totally unaware that Pluto existed outside of it, and that's a similar situation to this.
Man, yeah, so you see how we just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was mind-blowing, right? And you had like, what was it, 2 trillion stars, or 2 trillion galaxies in our observable universe, right? 2 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy has like 1 billion stars and 1 billion planets, according to ours. So look how much that is, and then realizing that all that is equal in your brain as the size of a light bulb, but then the actual universe that we can't even see is bigger than a planet. So that just, it's so big. And then people say we're the only life. We are not that special. Out of all those planets, all those stars, how big the universe is, we are not that lucky and not that special to be the only life like us. I'm sorry, but there's no way you could possibly believe that. There is no way. I would just laugh at you if you believe that, because that's just plain crazy. I mean, maybe you don't want to admit it to yourself or whatever the reason, but there's no way you can believe that. But yeah, let's get back to this.
We are all so unbelievably small, but you shouldn't worry, because all that means is that there is so much left out there for us to discover together.
All right, so yeah, there we go. Very nice video. Give it a thumbs up. Tell me if you like these types of videos. Yeah, so thank you guys for stopping by. Please give it a like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the channel a lot when you do that. It only takes a second for you guys to subscribe, and you have nothing to lose, so go ahead and do it. Also, we do have a merch store now, so if you want to help the channel out, go to the merch store. There's a link in the channel's main page to the merch store. You can go click on that link and go see what we have. Also, some people were asking about a donation link, so I put one of those below the merch store link. So if you just want to donate and don't really want merch or something, you could do that also. And it's whatever amount you want to put in is what you can put in. Yeah, so you beautiful people have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.